Explain conventions in relation to genre. Our film is a teen drama, therefore the following conventions will apply to teenage audiences as a consequence of the reliability. According to Blumner and Katz, people watch films due to the fact they wish to relate to their favourite characters.
The first convention we have used in relation to our genre, which is teen drama, is personal identity. Now we thought this was very important, as ourselves being teenagers, that it is important to have a personal identity, and everyone has one, and each of our characters has their own individual identity that makes them unique within the group. For example, Lucas is our goth, Sophie is our popular girl, Liam is our LGBTQ plus person, Michael Mustard is our lower class / chav, and Jared is our geek.
Another convention that we have used in relation to the genre of teen dramas is the convention of romantic relationships. One of these romantic relationships is Lucas and Sophie. Throughout the production, with Lucas's voiceover, the denotations that Sophie and Lucas have just moved on from the friend zone and begun a new relationship are very clear and precise to the audience. In addition to this, there are connotations showing that Sophie and Lucas are a couple in the beginning of the opening production. This is shown where Sophie links arms with Lucas after he's just won the game of Cluedo. This relates to the genre of teen dramas, as both characters are of the teen age. In addition to this, most relationships build up serious drama in modern day social groups between young teenagers. Therefore, this links to the drama aspect of our teen drama genre. Another convention in relation to the teen drama genre that we have used is the relationships between family. This is key with the characters of Liam and Lucas, who are brothers within the production storyline. Their parents were divorced after Liam's birth, so Liam has his mother's name, which is the maiden name of White, whereas Lucas has his father's name, which is Black. Due to the fact that Liam is part of the LGBTQ+ community, Lucas doesn't really tolerate his views in sexuality. Because of this, he doesn't approve of Liam's interest in the character of Michael. Due to the fact that Lucas is the protective older brother of Liam, he usually ignores this sexuality. However, as the production opening begins, you see he's quite spiteful towards Michael, who is Liam's interest. This is a key factor between the characters of Lucas and Liam, who are brothers.
Another convention which helps our film relate to its genre is conflict within friendship groups. We've used this as it is a common issue amongst teenagers, in schools, outside of school, in general life really. One example of this that we have is the main feud between Jared and Lucas because of Sophie. Many teenagers experience this at one point or another in their lives. As a consequence of their feud, it leads into a physical fight, which pretty much every teenager has experienced, if not been in one. And this is an indication of the main storyline being conflict and how it's resolved, if it's resolved.
Explain narrative links. Here we will go through how Todor's theory has been used throughout, as well as dissect the individual parts of the theory. For example, the equilibrium, disruption, recognition, repair, and new equilibrium.
So now, as you can see from this bit of our production, this is our equilibrium. This is where you can see Lucas and his friends are having some sort of dinner party. Everything is fine, everything is normal, and they're all just enjoying a friendly game of Cluedo.
The disruption element of our film comes when Lucas wins the game of Cluedo and Sophie clutches to his arm. This leads to Jared looking at him in frustration. This is clearly shown throughout the film by a pull focus of the card to Jared's face, clearly looking upset and annoyed. This then leads to a second disruption, which is the fight scene between Jared and Lucas. This is a clear disruption because of the violence and the sudden change of mood from just tension to it boiling over.
Here we have the recognition of Todorov's theory within our production. This is shown when Lucas throws Jared out of the house. This emphasises that Lucas has realised that Jared has become too jealous of him to be known as a friend. Within the final scene of the film opening, we see that Jared is implied to have been hit by a car. This is used to emphasise the fact that this has become the new equilibrium, and that Jared himself is no longer part of the core social group. Therefore, he will be apart from the majority of the drama which will occur throughout the rest of the film.
Explain mise-en-scène and links to genre and narrative. In this section we will be explaining how mise-en-scène links to a genre narrative, as well as the effects of colour, setting, positioning, lighting, props, costume and location in our film.
Throughout our production, one of the mise-en-scène that we have used to link the genre and narrative to our production is the use of colour. Throughout our production, we have used many dark colours in order to give a more dramatic undertone to our overall production. This is done to give a more ominous and serious feel to our production, therefore linking it into the drama genre. In addition to this, we also use the colour purple in Jared's suit. This is because the colour purple gives connotations of jealousy, which easily represents Jared's colour. In addition to this, the use of jealousy is used frequently throughout many teen drama productions, and is therefore a convention. This therefore links into the genre quite well and emphasises the fact that the film is part of the teen drama genre. In addition to this, we also use many dull colours throughout the scenes in our production. This is because the use of dull colours makes the film seem more down to earth and a little more miserable. This is used frequently in teen dramas, as most teens are usually represented to be miserable in films. Therefore, this connotes that the teenagers' lives consist of multiple dramas as a result of school life and figuring out who they are. Therefore, they do not know what colour they are actually going to be. This therefore links into the narrative, as the group is going through some rough school life where one character has become jealous of another due to a school romance. Additionally, linking into the theme of jealousy, this links in very well to our narrative. This is because one of our characters, Jared, gets jealous of Lucas due to the fact that he's in a relationship with Sophie.
Another mise-en-scene convention we used was setting. The main setting was an old-fashioned house, which gives the impression that the family are middle to upper class. This links to the narrative through social groups. Our film takes a socialist view on society, which explains why Michael appears to be uncomfortable around those he considers above him in the social hierarchy. However, as the film progresses, these boundaries are torn down by his peers as he becomes accepted and an equal to them. The old-fashioned house is a typical kind of thing that's used on drama films, and it's usually linked to a conflict or an argument happening, which is a foreshadow in our film. Throughout our film, we also use positioning as a type of mise-en-scene. For instance, the way we've positioned our characters around the table, so anti-clockwise it goes Lucas, Sophie, Liam, Michael, Jared. It shows relationships, and this links to the genre because it's a teen drama, so relationships is a very vital convention that we need to portray. Also, the characters are all teens, which links to it being a teen drama specifically, which also gives us the audience target. It also links to the narrative, since the positioning of Lucas and Jared exemplifies that there will be a fight. So Lucas and Sophie are sitting together, and across from Lucas is Jared. And you can see the tension between them because they're best friends, but they're not sitting together.
Another piece of mise-en-scene that we use to show our links to the narrative and the genre is lighting. At the beginning of our production, we see that we usually use a bit more high-key lighting to show that the atmosphere is more lively and peaceful, showing the current equilibrium of the narrative. On the contrary to this, as the opening of the film develops, we see that the high-key slowly becomes low-key lighting. This shows the development of the narrative as the film moves on from the equilibrium to the disruption. noted by Todorov's Fury. Due to the low-key lighting, the feel becomes more ominous and mysterious. This therefore links into the genre aspect with the genre of drama.
Another way our mise-en-scene links to the genre and the narrative is via our use of props. Now, our main prop throughout our production was the Cluedo board. We used a limited amount of props, and as a consequence of this, we decided to focus on our characters' emotions via the use of shot types, such as the close-up, to display more emotion, as we thought it was important to focus on our character's emotion, as our genre is teen drama, and to be dramatic you need to focus on our character's emotions. The reason this links to the narrative is because all of our characters are teenagers and it focuses directly on their issues. So within the Cluedo board game, obviously they all have their own issues as teenagers, and that's apparent through that is explained for the rest of our film. And the reason it links to the genre is due to the fact that it is based on the Cluedo board game, and it's a representation of characters, as our characters share the same last name as other characters within the Cluedo board game, such as Michael Mustard shares his name with Colonel Mustard. And it also represents their social class, and as I have explained in the evaluation, that social class again is very important to us, and each character has their own social class, as well as it is apparent in the board game as well, which is main feature of Cluedo. Another way our mise-en-scene links to genre and the narrative is costumes. Our costumes are fairly casual, except for Jared, as he's the wealthiest of the group, and we want to make sure it's clear to our audience that he is, and also like the more wealthy clothes he has, the more clear it will be to our audience that he's from the upper class. Jared is also very vain, so he likes to look his best at all times. That's another reason why he buys such expensive clothes. Our costume links to the genre by the fact that we are being stereotypical in the way of what teenagers are wearing. So like Sophie, the popular girl, she's kind of wearing like a nice comfortable jumper because she has to be comfortable, but she's hanging out with friends. I mean, if she was at school, she might be wearing like top of the range, like, I don't know, designer clothes, but when she's with her friends, she just starts to chill, which is common in teenagers. Our costumes also link to the narrative by the fact that they are tailored to suit in each individual character. That is in comparison with their clique. So Lucas Black wears dark black clothing to show that he's goth, and black is the connotation of black is depressing. This also represents the character's individual characteristics, allowing our target audience to easily identify the most what resembles the Cluedo board game. And by this I mean that our characters' colour of dress, so Sophie Alicia Scarlet is Miss Scarlet in the board game, therefore she's wearing red. Michael Mustard represents Colonel Mustard, so he's wearing yellow, which is Colonel Mustard's colour, and so on and so forth.
Another way mise-en-scène links to our genre narrative is by location. For our filming, we decided on using Luke's house, which is situated in a suburban area. The interior is rather reminiscent to the middle-class housing often shown in media. This is ideal for achieving our intent of making our audience feel welcomed and at home due to this relatable setting. Explain representation of people and places. Here we will be explaining how our characters are represented, such as the social cliques they are part of, while we use specific locations and the effect of these in our production.
One of the characters that we use in our production is Lucas Black. Lucas Black represents the gothic social type. This is shown due to the fact that he acts dark and brooding for most of the production's opening. In addition to this, his voiceover goes over the majority of the opening, and you can hear that he is very British. Additionally, he is from the middle class / upper class background. This gives off connotations that he is going to become the antagonist. In addition to this, Lucas is also seen as the stereotypical older brother. This is shown as He is very protective over Liam and wants him to live a normal, successful life and make the right choices.
Another character we have used in our production is Liam White. Liam White represents the LGBTQ+ social type, as he's a lot more flamboyant. He wears tighter fitting clothing, which is what stereotypically the members of the LGBTQ+ might wear. He also represents the stereotypical younger brother, as he's kind of rebellious. He's brought this lower class person into their social group, which in British society isn't usually allowed. It's very no, and he's done it, so this is showing that he has rebelled against his family's wishes. Another character we have used throughout our production, and who's seen as kind of the bullied protagonist, would be Jared Plum. Jared Plum represents the geek social type, as he wears big chunky glasses, he's wearing a nice posh suit, so it shows that he's like well dressed, so therefore he's like a hard worker. He's also the stereotypical upper class snobby rich boy, which he is, as I've mentioned previously, that he's very vain, he cares about his appearance a lot, which might suggest that he is quite snobby.
Another character we have used in our production is Michael Mustard. He represents the chav social type due to the cheap and baggy clothes which he wears, which is stereotypical for people in the lower class.
Sophie Lucia Scarlett represents the popular social group which is in every school. She does this through her outfit mostly, which is the stereotypical sporty one. She uses a super dry hoodie. She also brings the element of femininity into the group, as she is the only girl. The reason we have done this is because we want our audience to be able to relate to our characters, which in turn will draw in a larger and more diverse audience.
Throughout the production, we filmed the majority of the footage at Luke's house, my house. This is because it seemed to be more of the middle stroke upper class in appearance. This makes it clear to our audience that our characters are from the middle stroke upper class, therefore linking in part of the narrative, as Michael is part of the lower class, so he is discriminated against by those who are of the upper class, which then eventually will change and become respect if the production were to continue.
Explain camera work and editing in relation to genre narrative. In this section we will be given examples how we have used camera work and editing to keep relevant with the genre narrative. For camera work, there are a lot of close-ups and mid-shots in our production. The reason for this is to show the emotion of our characters, which is key because it is a teen drama, so it needs to be dramatic, and close-ups and mid-shots allow the audience to see this more clearly.
In addition to the camera work, we also used editing. Throughout our editing, there are a lot of jump cuts. We do this because we want to keep the audience on their toes and keep them interested in the film. This also is done because there are a lot of fast-paced action sequences that are quite dramatic. Due to the fact that they are dramatic, they fit in well with the drama aspects of the genre. Also, there is a darker layer mask pasted over the production during the second half in order to make the production feel more ominous and build suspense for the target audience. This keeps them more interested and makes them want to watch the film further. The use of the darker layer mask in the second half fits in well with the narrative, as it shows that the equilibrium is moving on into the disruption phase of the overall narrative through Todorov's theory.
Explain appeal to audience. In this question, we'll be explaining how we have appealed to our target audience.
One way in which we've appealed to the audience is by using a teen drama. We've had teen actors, which means that it's easier to relate to, and according to Blonde and Cats, one reason people watch films is to relate to their favourite characters.
Another way we appeal to our audience is by our use of dramatic events. For example, in our film, we have Lucas and Jared's fight scene and Jared getting hit by the car. This will grab the audience's attention and make them feel more involved in the film and might make them feel empathy for our characters.